Brad, we have the opportunity to do something that we have never done, and that is to watch the Auburn Tigers host a super regional in Plainsman Park.
I'm going to take my glasses off for this because I want to make a point.
Okay.
I want to look right into that camera right there, like the Macho Man Randy Savage used to point to the camera.
Are we cutting a promo?
No
Okay.
promo. Okay. But because I posted this on X the other day, and I want to say it as plainly as I can. Mm-hmm. This is a transformative time for Auburn baseball. Now, the program has gone to Omaha before. It's gone to super regionals before. And I don't just mean because it's the hosting of the super regional isn't the reason it is a transformative time. It is the product of a transformative time. This fan base is more invested than it's ever been. When you compare the Auburn position over the next 5 years to other schools in the league that may have been more attractive previously, Auburn is there now, and people are starting to realize it. Again, this is not a transformative time because it's hosting its first ever super regional. Hosting a super regional is a product of the fact that we are in a transformative time. Enjoy it, soak it up, realize it. This program is going to new heights, and this weekend is another example of that.
Very well said. Okay.
Thank
yes,
you.
It feels like the Butch Thompson era at Auburn has been building, right? Mm-hmm. Very good. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he goes to Omaha this year, if Auburn wins the Super Regional and goes to Omaha, he will have more trips to Omaha than any other Auburn coach in history. I think everybody has two, right? Hal Baird has two, Galloway has two, Butch has two. But
boy, to put Galloway in that list, Lindsay. He didn't have two with Auburn. Sonny Galloway doesn't belong on any list other than names of former Auburn coaches. Don't. Oh, Lindsay. They're not in the same. No,
I know. I just wanted to have some fun with that. I just wanted to have some fun with that. I know. He absolutely does not. That was a joke, everybody. The way that came out was a little weird. I was trying to make a joke and it didn't quite land correctly.
No, it landed as a joke. That's fine. It nicked the sore spot on the way there.
I don't want anybody to think that was serious. I apologize on that, everybody. Right. Just trying to crack a joke.
No, but Butch has already won more regionals than any coach in Auburn history.
Yep.
And I love that too. Like I saw, and I talked about this with Taylor earlier this week on Village Vice. I was watching Monday morning, SEC Network, Monday or Tuesday morning, and they compared 23 and 24, and they set up the graphic in a way as such to look how Auburn turned it around from 23. Mm-hmm. And while that's true, what this year proved is that 23 was the outlier. Yeah. It is not the constant by which to measure success. It was the outlier. Butch's teams are 14-4 in regionals with 4 regional championships. This team gets it done. And I don't know if this is for now or if I'm just way too hot about this early in the show today, Lindsay. You can talk the back half of the show, okay? You can talk the second half of the show.
That's fine.
Auburn's one of 7 teams that's hosted regionals 3 out of the last 4 years? Mm-hmm. How many teams have gone to supers 3 out of the last however many years? How often does that happen? Not much.
Not much. I was about to say I haven't pulled the numbers. I can't imagine it's that often.
Fewer than 10. So I also saw an SEC Network graphic where they were talking about super regional, this, that, or the other, and they said notable SEC teams. All right, there's 4 left, and they had LSU, Arkansas, and Tennessee. It's like the notable omission there of Auburn. Folks, whether you like it or you don't like it, learn to love it. Auburn as a program is among the national elite. And that's not Auburn guys saying it. That is comparative results over the last 5 to 7 years tell you that Auburn belongs in the conversations with the nationally elite. A win this weekend furthers that even more. You got 3 Omaha trips in 6 years. It's time that we on the inside and those on the outside begin to talk about this program in a little bit of a different way. It's in a new place, and it belongs in these elite conversations. All right. Stepping down, turn to him, the number 266.
To just let everybody know that I'm not crazy, by the way, on the joke thing. Paul Nix is the other one who has 2 trips to Omaha. I know that. I'm not like, I just wanted to make the joke on Sunny Galloway people. That's all. We were talking about him in the press box for some reason over the weekend, and I can't remember why, but we had some conversations in the press box about Sunny Galloway.
Somebody had indigestion, maybe, and made you think about it?
It could have been something like that.
Somebody causing conflict for no good reason whatsoever.
Maybe we saw the video of Kevin O'Sullivan yelling at somebody and thought of Sunny Galloway. That could have been it. That could have been what we thought of. I'm not even joking. That could have been what it was. The environment, like, we're going to get into this. Like, I want to preview Coastal. I want to talk about that. I want that to be the main focus of this show. But I do want to say, one of the things that's hit me a lot in all of the radio hits and podcast appearances and things I've done over the last week is the environment in Plainsman Park this weekend. Auburn set attendance records as they have continued to do almost every single weekend. And I know that you and I talked about this on our post-game show on Sunday. I can't remember a louder single moment than Ike Irish's home run. And it's entirely possible, and I've had more time to think about this, to your point of Auburn being considered among the national elites at this sport. It's very possible that when you look back in a couple months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, that home run could be the moment where a lot of national people say that's when we realized how good Auburn was. When they went in and we never trailed in the regionals. Auburn was never at a deficit in 27 innings. But that punctuation mark, that 7-run inning to put away the regional early, that may be the moment, the defining moment where people say, okay, Auburn's for real. This is a really good team that can win a national championship and should be in that conversation year in, year out.
Yeah, it did seem like that transformative or that pivotal moment. Like in the moment, you're looking at an NC State team that about 3 hours earlier scored 10 runs in the 8th inning. And so you're like, even when you get to 10, you need all the runs you can get in the moment.
Yeah.
After the fact, when you look back and you see the final score and go, well, they had enough runs to win it already. But that home run really was the punctuation mark. It was the storybook. It was the made-for-TV moment. It was your best player coming up with a 3-run bomb that was never in doubt. That was the script. That was the, that's the cinema moment. And there have been so many of those moments in that ballpark this year. And that was the latest one. For Auburn to never trail in this regional, Lindsay, I thought it was interesting. We did talk about this, but Conway and Auburn were the 2 regionals where it was the trendy pick, boy, to pick somebody else. Well, Florida's going to come out, or East Carolina. I mean, people who know ball thought, well, East Carolina is going to come out of that regional. Well, it's going to be Stetson. It's going to be NC State. Like, I mean, there are organizations out there that know what they're talking about, that none of them picked Auburn to come out of their regional. Like, RPI be danged. All the information out there, to heck with it. We're going to pick somebody else to come out of that regional. And these are the 2 teams that rightfully advanced. And for Auburn to never trail, again, emphatic. That's not Auburn guy trying to put a spin on something. They played 27 innings and didn't trail.
They used 7 pitchers for 27 innings.
That's man, when you start to break it down, that's the whole key.
Yeah.
7 pitchers for 3 games?
Entire weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. You got some teams using 7 pitchers in a game.
Yeah. I think Stetson may have in that elimination game on Sunday morning. But talking about the national picks here, I don't want to pick on 11.7 college baseball, but I'm going to do that.
People have.
They're one of the biggest examples because there's 3 of them on the podcast. They each picked winners of every regional. They had toughest and easiest regionals. They had favorite seeds to advance. And between the three of them, 6 total picks, one person was correct in these pair of regionals. One of them had Coastal winning. They also had a Florida and ECU. And then the Auburn regional, 2 of them had NC State, one of them had Stetson. Yeah. And when you looked at favorite seeds to advance, one of them said their favorite 2 seed to advance was NC State. One of them said their favorite 4 seed to advance was Central Connecticut, who I, again, almost said Coastal Connecticut. I don't know why I keep thinking that this school was like on the beach and, pulling lobsters or something for student meals.
Sure.
That'd be a selling point. I mean, but anyway, like that's the kind of thing you're talking about. And then when we break it down in almost every single way, Auburn dominated the regional. And now they faced a Coastal team that is very hot right now. And by hot, I mean the perspective of they've won 21 straight games. The last time they lost a game was April 22nd. It's been 6 weeks since they lost a game.
And I think that was a midweek game. Check the last time they've lost a weekend game. It's like early April, I think. I mean, it's been 2 months since they lost a game on a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's I have their schedule up. I just wasn't paying attention there. Yep, that was a Tuesday game, 4-2. The weekend before that, they swept Marshall. They lost a midweek game against Wake Forest. They swept Georgia State. It looks like Sunday, April 6th is the last time they lost a weekend game. They lost the finale to Arkansas State 2-0 after taking the first 2 games.
Yeah. You're talking about 8 to 9 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, they have been dominant, and their wins in the regional, they beat Fairfield 10-2. They beat East Carolina 18-7, and then came back on Sunday and beat them 1-0. But am I wrong? I don't want this to come back and bite me. Am I wrong in looking at the schedule and looking at the comparison of Auburn to what Auburn's done recently versus what Coastal's done recently and saying, yes, the win streak is nice, but the competition level up until maybe you got to regionals is not on the same level?
Yeah, and it just can't be because of the leagues that they play in. Yeah. I mean, look, this is an Auburn podcast, but I'm going to tell you the truth about Coastal. They lost to Wake Forest. Yes, they did. They also beat Clemson 8-2 at Clemson. They also
lost to Alabama.
They lost to Alabama. They swept Rutgers. I don't know how good Rutgers is. They swept Rutgers. They beat NC State when NC State was ranked 12th.
They beat number 4 UNC in a midweek, 5-4, 11 innings. So there's that.
So they've beaten. Yeah, they split so they played 2 games against North Carolina. The other was a loss by 1 run in 11 innings. So now the trendy pick around the country is North Carolina, and Coastal split with them in a couple of really tight ball games.
Yeah. So and it feels to me like big game experience and maybe what you've done recently could be if you put a lot of stock into that. Yeah. Like in the last 2 months, Auburn's played 18 quad 1 games. 7 of those have been at home and they're 6-1. In the last 2 months, Coastal's played 3 quad 1 games. 1 of them was on the road and they're 0-1. And if you look at the respective full season, Coastal on the road in quad 1 games, they're 4-5. Auburn at home in quad 1 games, they're 8-2. And so a lot of the attention's going on the winning streak for Coastal. But I feel like if you put the resumes side by side, this is still something where Auburn is more proven in the situation that they're in than Coastal is in their situation, which is on the road in a quad 1 game.
Shout out to Carter Bird on X for some of those numbers. Carter Bird 13, if you want to check that out. And I appreciate him putting that together. None of it matters. Yeah, frankly, when you get to this weekend, their winning streak doesn't matter. Their record in road games and quad 1 games on the road doesn't matter. Auburn's record in quad 1 games at home doesn't matter when it gets to the weekend. But we're not to the weekend yet. So it does matter when you size up the matchup in this game. Here's the way I've been or this series. Here's the way I've been talking about it. Both teams have a right cross that'll knock you out. Both teams have a great right cross. Auburn's offense is phenomenal. Coastal's pitching is phenomenal. The
Yeah.
key matchup to me is that left hook. You got the right cross. Who's got that left hook? Is it the Auburn pitching or is it Coastal's offense? They're not going to blow you away with home run numbers. They're not going to blow you away with 400 batting averages. But can they do enough with their pitching? How many runs per game? Like 3.5 runs a game. Is that the magic number to win these games? Can Auburn win games where they score fewer than 4 runs? They did against Georgia Tech once.
Mm-hmm.
How many other to me, that's where this matchup is. That's what it boils down to, rather than their records and quad one and this. It's important in framing, yes, but when you come down to it, who's got that stronger secondary strength besides their pitching and Auburn's hitting? Where does that strength lie when you talk Auburn's pitching and Coastal's hitting?
Yeah, it does. It does feel like the strengths negate, and you're looking at the secondary thing there. I do also, and this is a little bit harder to quantify because of how these stats work, but I do feel like from a defensive perspective, Auburn is going to be able to get more help to mitigate not their weakness, but their lesser strength here, right? Because I think we can all agree Auburn's offense is the strength of the team. The pitching's been very good. But if you're picking one thing, it's the offense.
Yeah.
Auburn's defense, I feel like, whether it's Eric Guevara in the lineup or it's Snow and Fabian, etc., I do feel like Auburn's defense is probably the better of these two teams.
Yeah.
And so is that able to push that aspect of Auburn's game this weekend of the pitching and keeping run prevention? Is that able to push that just a little bit farther in Auburn's favor? And I have not watched a ton of Coastal. I'm just completely honest. That's not a thing we really get to do over here a lot.
Right.
But it feels like it's really hard for me to imagine that many teams left in the field have a defense the caliber of Auburn's.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Look, Coastal's defense has turned 44 double plays this year. Their fielding percentage is .978. It's not bad, and that's a lot of double plays. I mean, it's almost one per game that they're getting behind that pitching staff. But, yeah, Fabian is excellent at short. Rembert plays a solid second base. Cooper McMurray is the most underrated defensive first baseman around, in my opinion, because we never talk about his defense. And then Snow, if he's at third, I mean, he's the guy that's been susceptible the most, but he's been fine in spots at third base. So I don't think he's certainly not a liability there if he winds up playing third. So, and Guevara's been elite defensively at third base. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and still an open question onto whether or not we'll see Guevara this weekend.
Right.
He had an MRI over the weekend. We're recording this before media availability on Thursday afternoon. We're waiting for practice. If practice happens, the weather's a little bit iffy. And I do think weather could end up being a little bit of an impact here. Hopefully it's not too bad. Friday night, from everything I've seen, should be fine. Game's at 8 o'clock. It's that Saturday game. I'm wondering. I think it's scheduled for 2. I saw some rain later in the day. I wonder if they have to move it up a little bit to try to get it in, or what's going to happen there on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not shaking my head. I'm shaking my head at 8 o'clock Friday game.
Yeah,
that's another rant that makes no sense whatsoever. But I won't jump off on that.
The scheduling's been really
Oregon
weird.
State and USC are going to play at 3 o'clock local time, and Auburn's going to play at 8 o'clock, and Coastal's going to play at 9 o'clock local time.
Yeah.
Why in the name of everything holy would you not flip those two?
Doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I'd love a real explanation. Is it just is it ratings? Is it because Auburn Coastal is going to draw better than Oregon State USC? Probably. That's kind of the way that usually works, but man, doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, some of these game times are odd. The LA regional or the LA Super, UTSA versus UCLA, game time is 7 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. So for game one, so that's something. Yeah, 4 o'clock local time, and it's like that's weird, like. Yeah,
do better. They could be better if they wanted to. I'm gonna stand by that. That's my new anthem. They could be better if they wanted to. They could be better.
I think the most egregious one to me. You had a good point on one of the West Coast ones. Arizona in UNC in Chapel Hill. noon on Friday. It is what, 9,
9
10 a.m.
It's 9
on
a.m.
Arizona's
Local.
bodies.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing here? Anyway, sorry. Neither here nor there. Little rant there.
They could be better if they wanted to.
They can be better if they wanted to. All right. So again, we're recording this before we get the official rotation and everything. I've had a lot of.
What do you think it's going to be?
I was going to say, like, that's what I keep going back and forth on Dutton in game 1 versus Tilley in game 1.
Dutton threw so many pitches on Saturday last week.
I know.
Would they bring him back on a Friday, on a short week?
Like, here's the thing. This is very much a different kind of thing than a regional, right? Because the regional, it's get in the winner's bracket. A lot of teams are holding their ace to Saturday.
Yeah.
This is a standard 3-game series that you could, and you don't have to play game 3 if you can win the first 2.
Yeah.
I see the arguments for both. I see the argument for have Dutton go on Saturday. If you've won game 1, you can put it away right there and in the Super. If you've lost game 1, you can tie it up right there behind Sam Dutton. Give yourself a chance to win on Sunday. I can see the argument of get ahead of the 8 ball. Go ahead, win game 1 with your ace. You're probably going to match up against their ace.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wonders, do you just wait for Coastal to decide and just match up your ace and their ace? But all of their pitchers are good. Like, that's the hard part. All of them are good.
They got a full house. They got 3 aces. And a couple of kings. Like, they got a full house in that pitching side. Who's the ace? Is Morrison the ace? Because I
would argue it's Morrison. Yeah, 2.19 ERA, 11-0 record. Fly-ball pitcher though in this ballpark.
And here's the thing about Morrison is he hasn't pitched the first game in a month. Once the schedule shifted to a day early, they kept him on Friday, so he was a game 2 guy.
Yeah.
He didn't start the first game of their regional. So we saw Hunter Jerpy at Oregon State 3 years ago. He was their ace. They pitched him on Saturday, and they won the Saturday game to even the series. I was wrong about my feeling last week. I said start Dutton Friday last week.
I did too.
But they didn't, and clearly it was the right call. I could see him pitching Saturday again rather than moving him up after 100+ pitches.
Yeah.
Rather than move him up a day. That Saturday game is just as important as the Friday game. So I could see moving him there.
So then on Friday, do you go Andreas Alvarez? Do you go Chatterton? Do you go Cam Tilley? I feel like you've got multiple options here. And that's the hard part.
Yeah. Great question. If you go Chatterton, you're giving the ball to a true freshman to open a super regional.
The first one in that ballpark ever. I know.
A guy who didn't pitch in the regional, so he didn't get those postseason nerves.
Jitters, yeah.
He didn't get those leveled like the other guys did. Do you go Cam Tilley again? Can you count on 100 pitches from Carson Myers again?
Maybe you go Alvarez and you say Alvarez and Chatterton together is our plan. Alvarez has gone through that first pitch in the ballpark in a postseason environment. We start off with him.
Yeah. Then who do you have Sunday if necessary?
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, maybe you stick with the piggybacking of Fisher. The plan is Alvarez, Fisher, two different profiles. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Chatterton and Tilley available for Sunday, maybe. That's the good news here is you have all these different options. The bad news is who you're getting from Coastal because they have 3 studs.
Yep.
Auburn has studs, but they've done all kind of different things all year. And I think that's kind of the hard part here.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So you've got to get out of here. Real quick before we go, prediction on the weekend. I think we're all taking Auburn to win, but who is your MVP? Because I don't know if any of us had Bub Terrell last week.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Gosh, that's a great question.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it?
No, it's really not. Rembert struggled the first 2 games, came alive in that 3rd game. Top 3 in the order were dynamite.
Fantastic.
Crap, who do you pick that's original? I mean, you're going to pick some of the same guys over and over again. I'm going to go back to a familiar one here that I've used before. Okay. And does it have to be offense? Because if so, I got to change my answer.
It can be whoever.
All right, Ryan Hetzler. Berkey was the MVP 3 years ago to get Auburn to Omaha. I think Hetzler's got to save 2 games to get Auburn there, whether they're back-to-back days or with a day in between. I don't know, but I think he's going to need to save 2 games. And so I'll go Hetzler.
There you go. I'm going to go different here. Chase Fralick. I think you're going to have to guide these pitchers. It's going to be very important that Auburn's pitchers can go blow for blow. With Coastal. And I think Fralick's going to go a long way toward his game calling, his blocking, controlling the running game. They have they have gone out, they have done some running as well this year. I really do think it's going to have to be Chase Fralick. He's going to have a good series. I don't know if it manifests at the plate. If you get enough offense, it might not matter, but he's going to have to be key behind the plate this time. So not that he hasn't been, but just that's kind of my going back to basics. It's all about the little things when you have 2 teams that are matched up this closely, and it's strength on strength. And I think he's been really good at the little things.
All 3 of their regular starters, Morrison, Eichhoff, and Flukie, are averaging more than 5 innings per start. More than 5. And Morrison's getting almost 6. He's like 5 2/3.
Yeah. He does have 1 relief appearances, which might throw it off a little bit there.
No, but I didn't do it by starts, did I? No, stand by.
But he has the most innings of all of them. They all have 15 starts.
Yeah.
So
he's right at 6 innings then on average if you take his innings and divide them by start. Point is, that's 5 to 6. Can Auburn starters do something similar? Dutton went more than that. Alvarez gave you 5. Tilly didn't, but Myers, the equivalent, basically, pushed you over that line. So, that's the key. And then is there a spot where the second time through the order you can get to these guys and get them out of the game? Their bullpen's good too, but can you get them out of the game before 5 innings?
And we've seen Auburn have some success in getting starters out of the game early. I would rather deal with this pen. A lot of good guys, but not the same caliber as these 3 starters. So
100%.
All right. We have a game plan. Let's see how Auburn does. Game 1 of the regional, 8 p.m. on Friday. Game 2, Saturday at 2. Game 3, TBA. Let's hope we don't have to play it, but we'll come back to you. The plan is we're going to have post-game shows again after this, after all of these games. So stay tuned to the Barn Baseball Show, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. We're going to be dropping these as we can throughout the weekend to recap all of these hopefully Auburn victories. For Brad Law, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Barn Baseball Show.